the legend. I am Judicial Miller, petitioner of the Constitution, checks and balances to the President of the United States, who, as you see, took oath of office, saying, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do this to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Here, let it be fact that I petition to the President of the United States. And as you see in this petition, it states the Constitution checks and balances. Taking oath of office, you swore to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of which you are called upon to do as your first order of business immediately February the 5th, 2021. This is 2022. The President has failed in his duty, which is just criticism that it be known before the public, to the magnitude that doing this, he breaches oath of office, as you just seen. Now, the President again is imposed obligations, Article 2, Section 3. There you once again will see that is filed. Later on, I will show you the certified mail receipts where his office received this. Imposed obligations which you, President Biden, violated, concealing from the public, which is your number one duty pursuant to Article 2, Section 3, to take care that the laws are enforced, of which was the Constitution's checks and balances. To the magnitude of the checks and balances, that is petitioned when an entire branch of government is corrupt, that being the judicial branch of government. When the United States Supreme Court itself is corrupt, in an appellate court system, the entire branch of government is corrupt. Now, once again, that's the second time that the President fails to uphold his duty, and he's supposed to defend the Constitution checks and balances to where the judicial branch of government is corrupt. Now, that is by, he is obligated to this morally, which is the Code of Ethics, and by law, which you already seen, impose obligations by law under Article 2, Section 3 to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, of which he has failed to do. Why? Because he's covering up corruption in the United States Supreme Court that imposed slavery, violation of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. They're concealing this from the public. Now, as I read the Code of Ethics for government officials, put loyalty to the highest moral principles and the country above loyalty to government persons, parties. You in this party, well, you got Democrats, you got a Democrat president, so they're not saying nothing because they in that party. They don't work like that. Violates the Code of Ethics or department. Now, the second one says, uphold the Constitution, laws, and legal regulations of the United States and of all governments therein, and never be a party to their evasion. He just violated it. He is evading the Constitution's checks and balances, which require that your judicial branch of government be checked. Once again, he didn't do this once, but he did it twice. It's been a year ago. He has no intentions of upholding the Constitution. That's breach of oath of office, requiring termination of the tenure being in office. It's over. This is what the media is concealing from you. Now, as this is our First Amendment right. What it says. Get it in focus now. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. The press is concealing this from the public, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition government for a redress of grievances. That's the First Amendment right of which I executed. The right to redress government of grievances, of which I use the Constitution's checks and balances. They must be checked for corruption or abuse of power. Because they failed to do that, the Constitution empowers the people. Now, as we go into this of the First Amendment here, annotations, First Amendment. You can always freeze that. You can look it up, or you can find it online at policebrutality.blogspot.com. The purpose of speech press clauses has evidently been to protect parties in the free publication of matters of public concern. When the government is corrupt, it is of matters of public concern. We cannot get freedom, justice, and equality in America because they're covering up that the judicial branch of government is corrupt. Now, go on, proceeding. To secure their right to a free discussion of public events, the checks and balances is a public event, same as Watergate, because Watergate was the checks and balances. They had to be checked for corruption. Public measures, and the public measure is the integrity of this person in office, and to enable every citizen at any time to bring the government and any person in authority to the bar of public opinion by just criticism upon their conduct and the exercise of authority which the people have conferred upon him. The people voted and conferred the office of President of the United States to Joseph Biden, of which he has failed, committed corrupt acts of concealment of the Constitution checks and balances, which is to the magnitude that it upholds the integrity by checking that branch of government for corruption and abuse of power. They're refusing to be checked. Violation, breach oath of office, requires termination. That's what the media has concealed from you by violating, as I stated, my First Amendment right that enables the citizen at any time to bring the government. Now, we want to get deep into this because we're going to take them off into deep waters. The evils to be prevented were not the censorship of the press merely, but any action of the government by means of which it might prevent such free and general discussion of public matters as seems absolutely essential to prepare the people for an intelligent exercise of their rights as citizens. The intelligence is in the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. When the government is corrupt, the checks and balances empowers the citizen for this event to be proven before a candid world that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. You, the people, know of this, but you didn't know how to go about doing this. I had to educate you intelligently on how to stop inequality, police brutality, and social injustice. You've seen the tragedies in Buffalo You see the tragedies in Texas. You wonder why these travesties keep continuing time after time after time. That's the social injustice. Now, as I'm supposed to be able to do this at any time, and as I do this, I order the judge, as I'm empowered, because I'm the petitioner and the Constitution checks and balances empowers the citizen, I am empowered. That means I have authority to give orders. Now, filed in the court, federal judge Richard Young ordered the media to cover the Constitution checks and balances and President Biden's indictment, violating Article 2, Section 3 to take care of the laws are faithfully executed. That's, as I have demonstrated, a breach oath of office. Now, once again, I execute my First Amendment right that I could do at any time, and being empowered by the Constitution checks and balances to uphold the integrity of the Constitution of the United States. This is what the media are trying to conceal from you, that I have power. I am empowered by the Constitution's checks and balances to check government for corruption and abuse of power. Now, I'm trying to get this conveyed to the public, and as you see, to cover the Constitution's checks and balances, which is mandatory by law, which he failed to do. He had 2 days, July 20th, 2022, as you can see. Yeah, this is August, which he failed to do. So, in doing so, I let him know, rights delayed or rights denied. They said at any time, that's a guaranteed right. Guaranteed. You know, sitting there something, it ain't what it was, they gotta make that right. Guaranteed. This does what it does. Well, this First Amendment gives me the right to speech press. Yeah. So the public is known as public concern, public matters when the government is corrupt. Now, let's get there, you see. Rights delayed or rights denied. And ulterior motive, this is corruption in the judicial branch of government of which he is a part of as a judge. There again, if he was a judge and has the integrity, he would honor the Constitution's First Amendment right, and this would be exposed. The president has to be accountable for breach oath of office, concealment. Oh yeah, that's a crime too. Title 18, Section 1001, concealment. Now, as I said, the checks and balances. So I call a press conference, and as you will see, July 29th, 2022, there it is once again. And as you see, this is Channel 14, Celeste King, Blaine Fentress, Channel 44, who, upon calling and giving notice of the press conference, blatantly said they're not going to show. That's a violation of our First Amendment right. Then there's Bob Friedman, Channel 25. As you see, and it states, as petitioner of the Constitution checks and balances, I just say, Miller am executing the guaranteed First Amendment right to speech press bring President Biden and the Judicial Branch to the bar of public opinion. Affirm the press conference at the Evansville Central Library, 2nd floor, Friday, July 29th, 2022. Call July 27th, no later than 28th, to affirm the press conference. President Biden indictment for violating his duty pursuant to Article 2, Section 3, to take care of the laws are faithfully executed, being the checks and balances which is mandatory by law to uphold the integrity of the Constitution. The entire judicial branch is corrupt, and politicians have concealed this when both are obligatory, both morally and by law, as I already demonstrated using the Code of Ethics and the checks and balances, which is an essential part of the Constitution. Okay. I also informed the news director of Channel 14, Joe Schlaerth. Yeah. Concealing government corruption is what they're doing. I'm veteran Deshae Miller, empowered by the Constitution's checks and balances, petition when the entire branch of government is corrupt. Call for coverage as President Biden refused to honor the checks and balances, requiring the judicial branch be checked for abuse of power, violating the 13th Amendment, imposing slavery, which is prohibited by the law. President Biden again refused to impose the obligations to Article 2, Section 3 to take care of the laws are faithfully executed, being the Constitution's checks and balances, which is major because the checks and balances are an essential part of the Constitution, absolutely necessary and extremely, what it says, definition, extremely important, as the checks and balances uphold the integrity of the Constitution, requiring the judicial branch be checked for corruption and abuse of power, as I already stated. Now, in addition, Channel 25, Warren Korf, news director. I'm veteran Deshae Miller, empowered by the Constitution, checks and balances when the entire branch of government is corrupt. Call for coverage as President Biden refused, as I showed evidence of his refusal twice. 3 times it's a charm. You know what it is. So, call for coverage as President Biden refused to honor the checks and balances requiring the judicial branch be checked for abuse of power, violating the 13th Amendment, imposing slavery, which is prohibited by the law. President Biden again refused to impose obligations to the Article 2 to take care of the laws are faithfully executed, being the Constitution checks and balances, which is major because the checks and balances are an essential part of the Constitution. Absolutely necessary. Extremely important. Somebody get it, because they got it and they refused it. Now, if they not committed the crime, they would not have been indicted. So, as we move forward here, as a transfer of power, cannot continue taking orders from corrupt officials. In the transfer of power, I am empowered to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. Had you not committed the crime, you would not have been indicted. As a transfer of power, as you see, filed in the courts, and this, in the transfer of power, the FBI uses applicable federal laws to investigate violations of public officials in federal, state, and local governments. U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves of the District of Columbia is to file indictments in Washington, D.C. area, and FBI agent Anthony T. Reidlinger of public corruption is to assign agents to immediately make the arrest of federal judge Richard Young, Magistrate Matthew Brookman, and local media You just saw them. They concealed the president imposed obligations. So if they run a corrupt government, they gotta go. Had they not committed the crime, they would not have been indicted, and the FBI must arrest them. Brookman, local media and the owners allowing employees to deny the guaranteed rights of the Constitution. Now, we're going to run through this. Magistrate Matthew Brookman is indicted denying the petitioner Constitution's checks and balances as he gave his rendition to deny the guaranteed First Amendment. As you already saw, this denial is in violation himself of concealment and Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy to deny rights and oppress. That's what he just did. Denied those rights. You already saw Federal Judge Richard Young ordered to do this, the media to give coverage on government corruption, of which he failed to do. He is committed to crime in conspiracy to deny rights and concealment, Title 241 and 1001. He is committed to crime. FBI Agent Riedlinger needs to go execute the indictments and arrest him. Federal Judge Richard Young. Yeah, Riedlinger. Now, the media has already denied coverage, so they had to be ordered to cover the checks and balances which are an essential part of the Constitution petition when the government is corrupt. Joe Schlaerth of 14 News, Blaine Fentress of 44 News, and both Brett Allega and Warren Korf are all indicted pursuant to Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy to deny rights in the press, also preventing the Treasury from paying $6.75 billion owed for the Judicial Branch default of the 13th and 14th Amendment, and miscarriage of justice, imposing slavery, prohibited by the 13th Amendment. There you have it. Yeah. The media must be arrested also. Except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of government of the United States knowingly and willfully falsifies, conceals, or covers up by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact. It is fact. I am the petitioner of the Constitution, checks and balances, of which the government must be checked for corruption and abuse of power. They've committed the crime, execute the indictments, and make the arrest. Now, government officials involved in the government cover-up concealing the checks and balances: Senator Todd Young, Senator Mike Braun, Representative Larry Bucshon, Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, United States Attorney General Merrick Garland, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury Wally Edeyemo, Karine Jean Pierre, she is the press secretary. Receiving this by certified mail receipt of which she signed it, she received it as you will see. And yeah, got received up on her. Yeah. Her duty is to tell the public what the president is doing. She also conceals the Constitution checks and balances, and she's the press secretary. What I said, the media concealing this from the public. Fact. She's committed to crime. Execute the indictments for her arrest. Ron Klain, Chief of Staff for the President, received this. Yeah, certified mail, signed for it, he got it. Commits the crime in conspiracy to deny rights and concealment also. Title 18, 1001, concealment. He committed the crime, FBI make the arrest. Vice President Kamala Harris, she, or what, never to the party. Her and the president run together, I'm just saying. Now it comes to this, she violates Code of Ethics, as I've already shown you, and is a party to its invasion in conspiracy to deny these rights. Now, you think about this, black people, when I am empowered to stop inequality, social injustice, and police brutality, and this is what the vice president, being a black woman, does, concealing the Constitution checks and balances, when this is for the betterment of a people. Hey, and at the same time, women pay attention. It says stop inequality, and that's what y'all all up in the air about, and here we go, stop it in one nutshell. But see, that's where the intelligence part comes in, because they got you, well, we'll do something about it in the next election. No, this happens right now. Why would government corruption continue waiting for an election? It don't work like that. That's the intelligence of it. You use the checks and balances. They have to be checked for corruption and abuse of power. Just saying, here we go. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, Indiana Attorney General Todd Young. All of them having knowledge of the Constitution are indicted pursuant to Title 18, 241, conspiracy to deny rights and oppress, and 1001, concealment of the Title 18, and obstruction of justice. Preventing the checks and balances mandatory by law to uphold the integrity of the Constitution. There you have it right there. Yeah, I'm going to give you plenty of time to put that on freeze mode. Like I said, Miss Merrick Garland, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, yeah, we got that all up in there. They are indicted. They have concealed this. FBI, Anthony T. Riedlinger of the Public Corruptions, execute the indictments and arrest them immediately. As you might have noticed, the Treasury owes $6.75 billion. That's for continued oppression. Yeah. Because, indictment filed for U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, September 21st, 2021. Yeah, I ain't know that the United States Attorney General been indicted for concealing this, which he received September 30th, September 30th, 4:45 a.m. You will see the filing in the courts for that later on. I do give the certified mail receipts. Yeah. What they do, called concealment. Not only Vice President Kamala Harris and David S. Addington, her chief of staff, both concealed it, and you also have the certified mail receipt numbers on that. Had they not committed the crime, they would not have been indicted. FBI execute the indictments and the arrests. Here we got, there you go, Judge Matthew Brookman. On January the 12th, 2021, this action was dismissed without prejudice due to this pro se plaintiff's Deshae Miller failure to pay his filing fee, and his original motion to hold press conference was denied as mute. So he denied this as mute, which he says is mute means disputable, arguable. Ain't nothing arguable about the First Amendment right, what I just showed y'all, which you do this in any time. Furthermore, they said it was an evil. For them to do this. Here we go. The government can do it in any manner. Yeah. That's a cover-up by the judge. Why? We're talking about the checks and balances. We're saying that the judicial branch of government is corrupt. So what does he do? He denies the right to speech press so that the public is not made aware. The evils to be prevented were not the censorship of the press merely. See, they couldn't censor to keep this from the public, but any action of the government by means of which it might prevent such free and general discussion of public matters as seem absolutely essential. The checks and balances are absolutely necessary, extremely important, of which he has prevented. Need I say more? Had not he committed the crime, he would not have been indicted. FBI execute the indictments and arrest him immediately. Yeah. Now, look at here. I said Todd Young. Yeah, that's his paperwork. Todd Young. There you go. 2 pages right here. What does it need? Please explain what you would like Senator Young to do on your behalf. Oh, yeah. Todd Young, Senator. Call a press conference informing the public of the checks and balances petition because the judicial branch imposed slavery, oppression, denying the First Amendment right to speech press. I just demonstrated you. And Treasury owes $6.75 billion immediately for the judicial branch corruption. President Joe Biden and Congress are obligatory both morally and by law for the checks and balances, which are mandatory by law to be proven before a candid world. This is